Look at your garden right now. That lettuce bed that turned bitter and shot up a seed stalk in July. The pea vines that gave up the moment the heat hit. The zucchini plant that's one hot afternoon away from just quitting. You've probably already written that space off, figured you'd pull the dead stuff, throw down some mulch, and call it done until spring. Here's why that's the most expensive mistake you'll make in your garden all year. That dead bed isn't finished. It's empty real estate. And right now, in the middle of August, you're sitting on a second growing season that almost nobody uses, not because it doesn't work, but because by the time most people even think about it, the window's already shut. Nobody tells you it's there until it's too late to use it. And here's the part that actually flips how you think about this. A fall garden isn't the consolation prize for missing spring. Some of these crops come out better the second time around. Carrots pulled after a frost are sweeter than anything you dug up in June. Kale that sat through a cold snap loses that bitter edge completely. It's almost a different vegetable, and you're getting all of it out of a bed that would have otherwise just sat there growing weeds for 4 months. But there's a catch. It's not a gimmick, it's arithmetic. Every crop has a number of days to maturity. Your area has a number of first frost dates. If those two numbers don't line up, your plant doesn't get to finish. It just stalls out, half-grown, right as the cold moves in. So before we touch the list, you need 30 seconds of math. Look up your average first fall frost date. Count backward from it using the days to maturity on your seed packet. Then tack on another 2 weeks, because fall daylight is shorter and the soil is cooler, so everything grows slower than the packet assumes, even when the calendar says you had enough time. Skip that 2-week pad, and you'll watch a crop stall out 3 weeks short of the finish line. Here are 10 crops where that math still works in your favor if you get them in this month what each one needs, and the one mistake that kills it most often. 1. Bush beans. The bush beans are the easiest second season bet on this list, and almost nobody plants them in August because everyone mentally files beans under summer only. That's a habit worth breaking. Most varieties mature in 50 to 55 days, which leaves real breathing room if you get them in during the first half of the month, even with a mid-October frost. The bonus most people don't expect, the pest pressure that hammers spring bean plantings and bean beetles, is already tapering off by the time a fall crop is flowering. Less inspecting leaves, more just watching pods fill out. If your soil's baked hard from summer heat, soak the seed a few hours before planting beans germinate poorly in bone-dry ground. Water in deep and keep the top inch damp until you see sprouts, usually within a week in warm soil. The mistake, planting late because it still feels warm outside. Air temperature doesn't matter. If frost hits before the pods finish sizing up, count backward from your frost date, not forward from today. 2. Carrots. Carrots make the single strongest case for planting in fall, and it comes down to plant chemistry, not folklore. When soil temperatures drop, carrots convert stored starch into sugar as a natural antifreeze. It protects the root by lowering its freezing point. The result is a carrot that's genuinely sweeter than anything pulled in July heat. It's the same mechanism that makes parsnips and Brussels sprouts taste better after a cold snap. Most varieties need 70 to 80 days, so you want these in the ground in the first week or 2 of August, in most temperate zones, to check your own frost date, because carrots don't forgive a late start the way some crops do. The real obstacle isn't the cold at the finish line, it's the heat at the start. Carrot seed germinates poorly once soil hits around 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which August sun will get you to easily. Lay a board or damp burlap over the row for the first 5 to 7 days to keep things cool, and check daily so you can pull it the second those thread-thin seedlings show up. The mistake, not thinning. Crowded carrot seedlings compete underground before you can even see it above ground, and you end up with short, forked, twisted roots, thin to about an inch apart within the first 3 weeks. Yes, even though pulling healthy-looking seedlings feels wrong. 3. Beets. Beets do most of what carrots do. They sweeten with cold, shrug off light frost, store well but they finish faster, usually 50 to 60 days. That makes them a safer play if you're planting mid or even late August. Here's the part most gardeners never learn. A beet seed is actually a small dried fruit fused from several true seeds. That's why beet rows always come up in clumps. Even when you space them properly, you're not getting 1 seedling per spot, you're getting 2 to 4. It's not something you did wrong, it's just how the seed is built, And it's exactly why beets need aggressive thinning, same as carrots. The greens you pull are edible and taste like a milder chard, so nothing's wasted. Thin to roughly 3 inches apart and toss what you pull straight in a pan with oil and garlic. The mistake, letting the soil swing between bone dry and soaked. Beets that dry out, then get hit with heavy watering, develop woody, fibrous rings inside the root, and once that texture sets, it doesn't go away before harvest. Keep moisture even. 4. Kale. If you only plant one thing off this list, make it kale. Its cold tolerance is almost absurd. Established plants survive down into the low 20s degrees Fahrenheit, and in a lot of regions you'll still be picking leaves in December in gloves, while the rest of the garden's long done. Like carrots, kale's flavor improves with cold. The bitterness that makes summer-grown kale a hard sell fades dramatically after even one light frost, same starch-to-sugar conversion at work. A kale leaf picked in November, after a couple of frosts, tastes almost sweet, next to the same plant grown in July. It takes about 55 to 65 days to full size, but it's cut and come again. You can start pulling outer leaves early and let the center keep producing, which gives you more slack in the frost date math than most crops on this list. The mistake, direct sowing into bare, summer-hot soil. Kale seed germinates unreliably above 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Use shade cloth, or plant where a taller crop throws afternoon shade during the hottest part of the day, then pull that shade back as September cools things down. Quick gut check if you're already doing the math on your own frost date while watching this. Drop your zone or nearest city in the comments. I actually read them, and it helps me build out more videos with numbers that apply to your garden instead of a generic estimate that may or may not fit where you live. And if this is your first time here, this channel is built entirely around getting more out of the garden you already have. Zero cost, no gimmicks. My partner still doesn't think we're getting this channel to 10,000 subscribers. I'd love for you to help me prove them wrong. Hit subscribe and let's keep going. 5. Spinach. Spinach is the trickiest crop on this list, and also one of the most worth getting right. Spinach seed has something called thermal dormancy, above roughly 75 degrees Fahrenheit. A chunk of the seed simply won't germinate. Not slowly, not poorly, not at all. It's a built-in mechanism that stops the plant from sprouting straight into heat it can't survive, which means late August into early September, once soil actually starts cooling, is often a better window than the first week of the month, even though that cuts it closer to frost than you'd expect for other crops. Spinach only needs 40 to 45 days to baby leaf size and handles hard frost fine once established, so that tight back-end window isn't as risky as it looks. Want to plant earlier in August anyway? Chill the seed packet in the fridge for a week first, or soak seeds overnight in the fridge. Pre-chilling measurably improves germination in warm soil by partially overriding that dormancy response. The mistake, giving up after the first sowing flops. A 40 to 60% germination rate in August heat is completely normal, not a sign you did something wrong. Succession sow every 10 days through early September and let the cooling soil do the work. 6. Lettuce. Lettuce has the same heat germination issue as spinach, just a more forgiving version of it. The threshold's a bit higher, and it bounces back faster once it cools down. A fall crop also mostly dodges the bitterness and bolting that ruins spring and summer lettuce, since bolting is triggered by long daylight plus heat, both already fading by the time an August planting matures. Most leaf varieties hit baby leaf size in 25 to 30 days and full heads in 45 to 55, making this one of the most flexible crops here. You've got real room to stagger plantings every week or two through late August and still beat frost. Use the same cold soak trick as spinach for germination, or sow, water in, and cover the row with a light-colored cloth for a few days to keep soil temps down, pulling it the moment seedlings appear, since lettuce actually needs light to germinate. The mistake, burying the seed too deep. Many lettuce varieties need light to trigger germination. A 1/4 inch of soil, or even just a light press into the surface, is plenty. Bury it like a bean, and a meaningful chunk simply won't come up. 7. Radishes. Radishes are the fastest thing on this list by a wide margin, which makes them close to risk-free even if you're planting in the back half of August. Most varieties finish in 25 to 30 days, so you can fit 2, sometimes 3 plantings into the fall window, spaced about 2 weeks apart, and still land before frost. They also do something useful that has nothing to do with eating them. Their fast taproots break up compacted soil for whatever you plant in that bed next spring. Some gardeners run a fall radish crop purely as a soil conditioning step and treat the radishes themselves as the bonus. The flavor jump is real. Radishes grown in summer heat often turn spongy, hollow, and unpleasantly hot from stress. The same variety grown as temperatures cool comes out crisp, juicy, and noticeably milder. The mistake: leaving them in the ground past maturity. Unlike carrots or beets, radishes don't hold once ready a week or two late, and they go woody and crack. Because they mature so fast, it's easy to lose track of your planting date, so mark it. 8. Turnips. Turnips get a bad reputation from one thing. Most people have only ever eaten an old, woody, overpowering one and assume that's the whole vegetable. A turnip-pulled young, roughly golf ball to tennis ball size from a fall planting is a completely different food. Mild, a little sweet, almost radish-like. They mature in 40 to 60 days depending on variety, which fits comfortably inside an August planting window in most temperate zones. Like beets, the greens are fully edible and taste like a slightly peppery mustard green, a genuine 2-for-1 from a single planting. And like carrots and kale, a light frost improves the flavor rather than damaging it through that same sugar conversion response. The mistake: letting them grow too big. Turnips left past baseball size develop a woody core and a much stronger, more bitter flavor, even if they still look fine outside. Start checking around day 40, bigger isn't better with this one. 9. Broccoli. Broccoli is the one crop on this list where the clock actually starts before August. It needs 55 to 70 days after transplanting, plus another 4 to 6 weeks as a seedling before that ever goes in the ground. So direct-seeded broccoli in August almost never has time to finish before frost in most temperate zones. If you started seed indoors or in a shaded nursery bed back in mid to late July, August is exactly when those transplants go in. If you didn't, buying a nursery in early August is the realistic path to a fall crop. There's no shame in it. Plenty of experienced gardeners buy their fall broccoli starts instead of racing the calendar with seed. The payoff, fall broccoli, is far less prone to bolting than spring broccoli, since bolting is triggered by rising heat and lengthening days, both moving the opposite direction as your fall crop matures. Spring broccoli is racing the heat. Fall broccoli has the heat at its back. The mistake: transplanting straight into full August sun with no transition. Starts grown indoors or under shade cloth will scorch if moved into unfiltered sun cold. Harden them off over 4 to 5 days, a couple hours of direct sun the first day, working up gradually before leaving them exposed full time. 10. Arugula. Arugula closes the list because it's close to a guaranteed win no matter which week of August you're watching this. Baby leaves in as little as 20 days, full-size leaves around 40, meaning even someone planting in the last week of August has a real shot at harvest before a hard frost in most zones. Arugula's peppery bite is heat-driven. The compounds behind that mustard-like sharpness intensify under heat and stress, which is why store-bought summer arugula can taste unpleasantly hot. A full-grown batch is noticeably milder, easier to eat raw in a salad, instead of needing to be buried under other greens to tame it. It also self-seeds readily. Let a few plants flower and go to seed at season's end, and one August planting can turn into a low-effort patch that comes back on its own next year without buying seed again. The mistake: sowing too thick. Arugula seed is tiny, and it's easy to scatter far more than you need, which leaves you with a mat of seedlings, choking each other out and going leggy. Sow thin, and thin again after germination, if it still looks crowded. Everything you pull is an edible microgreen, so nothing's wasted. That's 10, and if all you manage is 3 or 4 of them this month, you're still ahead of a bed that would have sat there collecting weeds until spring. Here's the thing nobody tells you about a fall garden. It doesn't feel like more work, it feels like more time. No summer heat to fight, none of the pest pressure from earlier in the season, and you're still harvesting through October, into November, sometimes later, out of a bed most of your neighbors already gave up on. There's a specific kind of satisfaction in pulling a sweet carrot out of cold ground in November while everybody else's garden has been put to bed for months. Drop your zone or nearest city below. I want to build out a proper frost date breakdown and a planting calendar based on where you actually garden, not a national average that may not apply to you at all. And if this just saved your garden from 4 wasted months, subscribe. This channel is about squeezing more out of the season you've already got. Zero cost, no upsells. My partner still doubts we hit 10K. Help me prove them wrong. Go count backward from your frost date. You've probably still got time, just not forever.